to manage the hypervigilant saboteur. Pay attention to when you're really in your flow state. When are you most effective? Is it when you are freaked out, or is it when you are clear-headed, innovative, laser-focused?
If you're job searching right now, you're in the right place. Welcome to Land Your Next Job, the show that helps you move from ghosting and rejection to interviews and offers. I'm Erika Parker-Price, a certified career coach with a background in tech who has spent nearly a decade helping professionals land roles at companies like Microsoft, Google, and mission-driven organizations. Each week, I share what's actually working in today's job market, from LinkedIn and networking to how AI is reshaping hiring. You'll get clear strategies and inspiration so you can run this marathon without burnout or guesswork. Follow the show and let's land your next job together.
Welcome to day 10 of our PQ 10-day sprint. Thank you for being here as we talk about hypervigilant. This particular saboteur is simply about keeping you safe. It is all about safety and security. And quite frankly, what could be wrong with that, right? We'll get into what happens specifically in the job search if you take it too far. But let's start out with what we love about the hyper-vigilant saboteur. These people are not only loyal, reliable, and dependable, they are also very aware of the true risks and dangers to themselves, to others, even to organizations. They're the guardians of families and communities, and they can be rock steady. So the hyper-vigilant saboteur is all about keeping you safe. Now, we know that trying new things is not what our brain thinks is safe. For many of you, this job search is a very new thing. It's maybe not something that you've done in a few years or even longer. And so the hypervigilant approach to this is just, hey, let's not do this. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. If you're in a position where you're needing to find a new job, staying home, staying safe, staying secure, that's not going to get you to your next opportunity. So in addition to being very sensitive to danger signals, the person with the hypervigilant saboteur is always doubting not only themselves, but also others and just the general situation around them. So it's this constant expectation of mishap or danger, of being suspicious of other people, and just not trusting the ground that they're standing on. So if that sounds familiar to you, that's probably because you are high in the hypervigilant saboteur. I'm assuming by now everybody's taken the quiz. If not, you know where to go. My website, erikaparkerprice.com/PQ. In terms of the thoughts that somebody with this saboteur would have, it is really around that question of when is the other shoe going to drop. So if you are in this space where you are looking for a job right now, I am certain that you had access to these hypervigilant thoughts prior to being in the space where you are now. You tend to think that if you make a mistake, everybody's going to be on your case about it. And maybe you want to trust other people, but you're finding yourself suspicious of their motives. In terms of feelings, what has worked well over the course of your life is to be skeptical, maybe even cynical. You are on the lookout for something to happen, and so that's where you live from a feeling space. Now, the lie that this saboteur is telling you is that life is full of danger. Not only is it full of danger, but if you don't look out for them, no one else will. And while you may be thinking right now, that's true. That is 100% true, that life is full of danger. It's also that second part of the sentence that's really important, that if it's not you looking out for it, nobody will. It's that assumption that this all lands directly on your shoulders and that nobody else is going to do this. Now, for most of us living in community, it's never true that you are all alone. There's always other people out there, and different perspectives can give a broader, more nuanced, maybe deeper perspective on what's actually happening. Okay, how does this show up in the job search? Like I said, it is very likely that it showed up prior to you looking. If you're somebody who has a job right now and you are looking for a job as well, it's probably because that hypervigilant part inside of you is paying attention to the writing on the wall. Now, maybe it has been a very good guide for you, and it is pointed out that where you are is not going to be the long term for you, and you need to look elsewhere. On the other hand, I remember going through periods, I'll say in my last year at Microsoft, there was a time when 5% of the company was laid off. Now, it was announced in advance that it was going to be 5%, and it was going to take a period of time, I think a whole quarter, for that to happen. And I distinctly remember the feeling in the air, right? Everybody was worried about their job. What nobody walked around saying was 95% of you are going to be fine. 95% of you are not going to lose their jobs. There was such an intense focus on that 5%. And of course, massive impact if you're in that 5%. But for me, the even bigger sign was how it changed the other 95% of the people that were there. And so in that type of environment, I think anybody who had a hyper-vigilant saboteur, that one just ramped right up. But the truth of the matter is it's a very hard way to live. It is a hard way to think. It is a hard way to be inside of your body because of the anxiety that comes with it. I'm not clinically diagnosing anybody with anxiety, but what I'm saying is if these are the thoughts that you're having, that there is always going to be something else that happens. If the thoughts you are having right now related to the future of your profession are in this space, then that's a very hard place to be functioning at your highest level. Now, I want to address something because I think a lot of people, and I include myself in this, think that we're in a major shift in the job market right now. And you might be saying, of course I'm hypervigilant. Do you not see what's going on there? And my answer to that is what we're talking about here is specifically the negative thinking that comes with it. So the negative thinking could be, I'm never going to get a job again because AI is going to take my job. Or I'm never going to get a job again because they have eliminated the entire entry level and I am just getting out of college. And I never even had a chance to get in and get my career started. Those are the kind of negative thoughts that are not going to lead to positive outcomes. What's possible, if you can quiet those negative thoughts and shift to the positive side, would be the exploration and the innovation that we are all going to need to get to the other side of this. Asking yourself questions like, what are the skills that I have that are going to be most relevant in the future? And I know that everybody wants to go just look that up and find out what the answer is and pop it into some system and have it translate for you. It's more nuanced than that right now. There's nobody saying if you were this job, this is the future job for you in 5 years. And everybody's beliefs are all over the map as to how these changes are going to play out, how dramatic they're going to be, and when they're going to happen. But hypervigilant is something that I am seeing ramping up more and more. And it's definitely a tendency that's been in you since childhood. So if you don't have it in you at all, you're probably listening to this and thinking, it's all going to be fine. I don't know why everybody's worried about that. And that's okay. We all have our things to work on. The thing that I would say from a coaching perspective beyond PQ reps for how to manage the hypervigilant saboteur within yourself is to pay attention to when you're really in your flow state. When are you most effective at getting something done? Is it when you are freaked out about a thing that is happening? Is it when you are worried for the safety, whether that be physical safety or financial safety of yourself and your family? Or is it when you are clear-headed, innovative, laser-focused? And I'm going to argue that it's the latter one. I had an experience a couple of years ago where I found that my hypervigilant saboteur, which isn't my top one, but it's down there in the middle, but it was very activated. I was up in the mountains during a time when there were forest fires. Now, the forest fires were not close to me. They were probably 5 miles away, but the place where I was had 2 exits to get out of that community, and both of them had fires that were within miles of them. Now, there was no evacuation order, and pretty much everybody else was fine where they were, but I was seeing ash come out of the sky. I was smelling the smoke, and it was just triggering that hypervigilant saboteur within me. And so we made the decision that we were going to go home because I was no longer in a space where I was enjoying what was supposed to be a couple days away. All I had to do was pack up what I had brought with me. And that would seem like a very easy job for somebody who has decided that they just need to pack up their weekend bag, right? What I found is that I was running from room to room. And again, there was no imminent danger. There was no fire here. But inside my brain, that fire was much closer. I really had to just sit down for a moment. And I literally did do some PQ reps, some breathing exercises, because I was finding that I was not even up to the simple task of packing my suitcase because my brain was so far into the future of all the things that could potentially go wrong. That's kind of a dramatic example because it's about a forest fire. But in my case, I had really created that entire thing into what I rationally knew was so much bigger than it actually was. I want to illustrate how important it is that you be coming at the job search from the best version of your brain. And that means that you're quieting all the saboteurs. It doesn't matter which one you're high in. It doesn't matter if it's hyper-vigilant. It doesn't matter if your judge is the judgiest of all judges out there. Don't worry, I definitely have a very strong judge. Whatever it is, the reason that we've spent all 2 weeks on this is to get you to notice the negative thinking as it comes up and to give you the tools to shift it over to a positive thinking. And specifically something that I refer to as the sage perspective, a place where you can have empathy, exploration, innovation, where you can use your wisdom to navigate and you can execute with laser focused action, because that is what is being asked of all of us in this job search. You really do need to be showing up as your best self. We're going to close out with a final set of PQ reps. I'm going to go back to touch for this one. And if you're able to, I hope you'll join me on this. We've talked a lot about negative thoughts, and I want to wash all of those out of your brain right now. So go ahead, close your eyes if you're able. If you're not, that's okay. You can do it with your eyes open. I want you to just lightly rub your index finger and your thumb together. I want you to just notice what that feels like on your thumb. Notice what it feels like on your finger. And then I want you to take all 5 fingers of one hand and just lightly rub them against the 5 fingers of the other hand. And just notice what it feels like as each of those fingers touches the other. Bring the fingers of one hand to the palm of another and just lightly touch it, noticing what it feels like on the palm, noticing what it feels like on your fingers, and then just paying attention to the grooves, the lines, things you haven't even noticed. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and then when you're ready, exhale and open your eyes. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. We will not be doing positive intelligence every day like we have for the last 2 weeks on this podcast, but I hope that you really benefited from that framework. I appreciate you being open to learning this, and let me know what you thought. My DMs are always open on LinkedIn. Come find me, send me a message. The reason that I do this podcast is so that people can have a better understanding of what it would be like to work with me inside my Career Reset program. There are so many different pieces of the job search, everything that you think about initially, from resumes and LinkedIn to interviewing, to just simply how you show up every day, day in and day out, how you stay resilient, how you run the marathon and cross that finish line. I love helping people on this journey and having that celebration with people when they land that next job. If you're ready to make that change, come find me on my website, erikaparkerprice.com. There's an application process you can go through there. It's just a quick series of questions for you to tell me a little bit more about yourself, and then we can see if we're a good fit. You'll have an opportunity to book a call with me if you have any questions, and it would be an honor to speak to you. Thank you for being here. I will be back next Monday. We will go back to our regularly scheduled once-a-week podcast, Land Your Next Job. And know that I am always rooting for you.
That's a wrap for this week on Land Your Next Job. If this episode helped, please leave a quick review and subscribe wherever you listen. Share it with a friend in transition, and I'll see you next Monday. Let's land your next job together.